we have two muscles on the lateral side. We call them the lateral crural muscles. So evidently you didn't learn that in anatomy.
Peroneals.
Crural or compartment. There's a big fascia that runs this way and a big fascia that runs this way, and then it envelops them. And then there's a nerve that goes right into that. You remember what nerve that is? Neil goes, huh?
Superficial
peroneal or fibular nerve. Good. And so every muscle in that compartment is supplied with the same nerve. So, what two muscles? There's only two.
There's longus and brevis.
Which one's on top?
Brevis.
Longus.
Oh, longus.
It's like here's the brevis and here's the longus. It comes over the top.
Oh.
The problem is it actually, the tendons switch. One goes deep, longus goes deep, and the brevis goes superficial because the brevis attaches where?
The fifth. The
Base of the
fifth.
fifth. Let's go with base of the fifth. Yeah, since we're on the lateral side. Sound good? So, the Fibularis Longus I actually palpate above the lateral malleolus because it's on top. Once it goes down around, the longus dives deep, but the superficial or superficialis or brevis stays superficial. How's that? So it actually runs like that. And so we're going to hope that we can see it. Oops, I drew on it before we could see it. All right, so it's going to plantar flex. Any muscle that runs behind the lateral malleolus is going to plantar flex. And any muscle that's on the lateral side is going to evert. So I simply say, this is the motion I want you to do. I'm going to put you in that position. Don't let me move you out of it. Do you see that tendon that I drew over?
Mm-hmm.
Can you see it? It pops out like a sore thumb.
Is it the same one popping on?
The only one that's there. You feel it? Good? Now we have the Fibularis tertius as well, right?
If you have it.
Peroneus tertius.
Not everybody has it.
If you have one. Not everybody has one. But you have one because I can see it. So go ahead and do the same thing, except now it runs on the anterior side. Oh, I didn't palpate longus yet, did I? Longus is above, so I have them plantar flex and evert. Don't let me move you. Do you see the tendon above? Can't miss it. It's just simple.
Well, that helps.
Good?
Yeah.
All right, now, can you see the tertius? It actually runs on the anterior side of the lateral malleolus and attaches to the same spot as the brevis does. So I'm going to have you now dorsiflex and do it. And it's hard to see that way, so I'm going to actually have you relax. Don't let me move you. Relax. Don't let me move you. Okay, let's go here. Don't let me move you. You see it? It's a teeny little tendon right there. Just to double check me, come feel that tendon.
I thought the tertius is the one above the.
Right here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And it attaches to the top side or the dorsal side of the tubercle of the fifth. So she does have one. That one I'm not going to require you to do because not everybody has one. So I don't want you to panic. The last thing I want to encourage is panic on the lab practical. But the tubercle of the fifth now will be a landmark. So what would be the bony landmark for the Peroneus longus and the Peroneus brevis, or Fibularis longus and brevis?
Lateral malleolus.
Lateral malleolus. And for the brevis, it's lateral malleolus and
Tubercle of the fifth.
of the fifth. For the longus, it's just lateral malleolus. For the extensor digitorum brevis on the lateral side, the landmark is going to be the tubercle of the fifth, and we just come up towards the lateral malleolus, boom, directly over the cuboid, and we just have them extend their toes. Lift your toes up. Do you see that muscle right there?
Mm-hmm.
Good. As we move now from the lateral side to the dorsal or anterior side, dorsum of the foot or anterior side of the leg, we're going to have the extensor digitorum longus, extensor hallucis longus, and the tibialis anterior. So going from lateral to medial, it's Dick, Harry, and Tom. Going from medial to lateral, it's Tom, Harry, and Dick. Good? So what do you think is going to be the landmarks for the extensor digitorum longus and extensor hallucis longus? Just the dorsum of the foot directly over the metatarsals. I'm going to have them extend their big toes. Extend their toes. And you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 of those tendons. And they come directly to a common tendon that goes up on the anterior crural muscles. The extensor hallucis longus, of course, I just extend the big toe, and there's the big tendon. As I move medial, and I'll show this again on the medial when I look on the other leg, but I am looking on the tubercle of the navicular bone. That's my landmark. Although it doesn't attach there, that's my landmark because I go just above that and then have them dorsiflex and invert. So I put them in that position, don't let me move you, and it sticks out like a sore thumb. It's the size of a pencil.
What is that?
Tibialis anterior. Tibialis anterior, extensor hallucis longus, don't let me move you, extensor digitorum longus. 4 tendons, 1 tendon, 1 tendon. Good? All right. Medial side. Just in case you didn't see the tibialis anterior, here's the tubercle of the navicular bone. Is that where it attaches? No, but that's a good landmark to use. And I come just above that, and I say, I put them into dorsiflexion and inversion, and I say, don't let me move you, and I try to pull them out of that, and it pops up like a pencil, sore thumb. Good? Now, so those Tom, Harry, and Dick were my anterior crural muscles. This is another compartment. Anybody heard of Mary Decker-Slaney or anterior compartment syndrome? That is the compartment that the muscles get so pumped up that it compresses the nerve, and so it causes problems. On the medial side, we have Tom, Harry, and Dick. No, Tom, Dick, and Harry. All right? But of those, Tom is your tibialis posterior. This is an important one because it's the brat of the ankle. I haven't got there yet in lecture, but this is the BMO of the ankle. It's going to go underneath the foot and spread out so that it lifts. When it contracts, it lifts the arch. So it's going to be the one that you'll need to work on to help your arches. And so it runs on the posterior side of the medial malleolus, so they all do plantar flexion. Good? Where the anterior crural muscles run on the anterior side of the malleoli, so they're all going to help with dorsiflexion. So the one that's important is going to be the tibialis posterior. So I find my tubercle of the navicular bone, and I am going to use that as a landmark for tibialis anterior and use it as a landmark for tibialis posterior. So I'm going to go just behind that, and then I am going to want her to plantar flex and invert, and I'm going to pull her up in the opposite direction, and I've drawn over it, but Alyssa, come double check me. There's a tendon right there. It's huge. Sticks out like a sore thumb. You think you can't feel it, but it's obvious. So it runs right around there and under the foot. That's Tom, right? Dick is digitorum. We are simply going to palpate here. We have to palpate through the plantar aponeurosis, but we say, I'd like you to flex or curl your toes underneath. Don't let me pull them up. And then I just try to feel if it's, I can try to palpate them. It's almost impossible to palpate them through that fascia. But do I know they're working?
Mm-hmm.
How do I know?
She's flexed.
Because the toes, I can't move the toes. And then Harry is going to be right on the medial border of that plantar aponeurosis. The plantar fascia, right? For plantar fasciitis or plantar aponeurosis. Right on that medial border, and I say, don't pull her into big toe flexion. Don't let me move you. And I can palpate it. Good? I think that's it.
So there's only landmark for the tibialis posterior. For the other two, is kind of like knowing
On the
where-
bottom of the foot, yeah, just knowing. They're not big time problem. The last